The forest is shrouded in mist, the roads greasy, serpentine and narrow. Not ideal conditions for heroically fast driving or spirited cornering. But prudence can somehow be overlooked if you're driving this car. It's a Group C homologation special designed for the international rally circuit, and it's possibly the most sure-footed four-wheel drive car on the road today. The Audi Quattro Supersports is a real Jekyll and Hyde vehicle because you can meander effortlessly along these tight Bavarian highway roads, virtually in top gear at around 1600 revs, and there's no inkling that under the bonnet is virtually a Formula One race car engine. There's also no clue that the permanent four-wheel drive system is engaged, except that the car corners unerringly. But put your foot down and a metamorphosis occurs. At around 2,500 revs, the turbo boost starts to come in and the car starts to perform like no other 2-litre car I've ever experienced. I've had the car for a couple of hours now, and I really haven't had the nerve to drive the car to within even 50% of its real potential. Walter Roll, Hannu Mikkola and Michel Mouton, works drivers for Audi, know how to push the car to its limits. This is the rally version, 6 gears, garish paint job and hefty rear wing. But on these rough dirt tracks, the four-wheel drive traction helps the drivers defy the laws of physics. It's worth examining Audi's lineage. From their factory at Ingolstadt, north of Munich, they produced the world's first front-wheel drive car. They produced the Wankel engine, the first successful rotary power plant for automobiles. The original Beetle was built under contract by NSU, an original member of the Auto Union. Audi built the first rear-engine Grand Prix racer, and it was so successful that soon most manufacturers switched engines from front to rear. The Audi Quattro, following in this tangential tradition, was years in research and development. But when it was released on the international rally circuit, then a world of two-wheel drive cars, it was just about invincible. The Quattro on tarmac surface, wet or dry, is a measured 50% better than two-wheel drive configurations. In the snow, for example, the Quattro demonstrates clearly its traction and handling. Two-wheel drives need snow chains to get even close. In fact, the Quattro has been shown to have the same or better traction in the snow than most two-wheel drive cars manage on bitumen. To understand why, first consider when a car goes around a corner, all wheels actually travel different distances. That's why you need a differential to compensate for the tendency for tyres to skid or spin during heavy acceleration or cornering. In all-terrain vehicles where four-wheel drive can be engaged when desired, the handling is wonderful in the rough, but because there's a rigid coupling between the front and rear axles, problems show up once the vehicles are driven on bitumen. The tyres scuff, leading to tyre wear. At speed, it leads to poor road holding. The Quattro's answer to this is a centre differential between front and rear axles to make the power transfer more flexible. The differential is via a compound shaft, which is actually integrated within the gearbox. The system saves space and weight over existing differential layouts on the market today. The Quattro has a further refinement. Should the car lose adhesion on icy slush, permanent rigid four-wheel drive can be engaged temporarily to get you out of a spot. So now you understand some of the advantages of the Audi Super Quattro, a vehicle that costs around $300,000 to build, but have been discounted to $200,000 so that Audi can sell the 150 cars they don't need for rallying this year. At last count, only 20 remained unsold. At that price, you'd think that owners would only be partially interested in the money saved on tyres. But better traction on all four wheels means they don't have to be as wide. What is interesting is that because they're narrower, the car's less likely to aquaplane in the wet. Amazing. Well, it's really comforting that the car's so sure-footed, because if I should dent a fender, which is handmade from Kevlar polycarbonate, it'd cost $10,000 to repair it. That's just one fender. Okay, let's just have a quick look at the engine. Pretty
cramped engine compartment. It's 5 cylinders, double overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder. Probably one of the most sophisticated engines in the world today on a road-going car. One of the reasons why is because the whole thing is managed by a Bosch Motronics fuel management system, so a computer chip looks at all the parameters of the car at all times. The other reason why it's so powerful is because of the turbocharger system. Here's the inlet manifold. It goes through and is sensed by a hot wire, which is attached to the Bosch fuel management system, is then into the turbocharger, and then goes into a vast intercooler which cools the air down about 40 degrees Celsius almost instantaneously before it's swept into the inlet manifolds for electronic ignition. Just to give you an idea of how competitive the rally version of this car will be this year, this car puts out 225 kilowatts at the wheels. The rally version, basically the same engine in a wilder state of tune, puts out 500 kilowatts. Okay, let's go and see a little bit more of Bavaria. The Audi is a real dream to drive. There's the acceleration to get you out of tight circumstances, but the car also washes off speed so effectively that you're imbued with great confidence and peace of mind. The automatic anti-locking brake system stops the car from wild skidding, and the disc brakes themselves are giant AP Lockheeds, the type used on the Porsche 917 Can-Am racer. Audi, like me, have been seduced by the power and the poise of the Super Quattro. But they say that they intend to keep a vehicle which is approaching its capability in their future lineup. But it won't be an exotic beast like this because the international rules of rally have changed and manufacturers no longer have to build at great cost 200 vehicles to compete. They only have to make 10. But there's no doubt that four-wheel drive, certainly permanent four-wheel drive, is here to stay. Certainly if Audi managed to win the '86 World Championship. The only problem now is I've got to take the beast back to the factory.